roof, under one institution, unlike the case where you would have most patients go to different centers for the treatment of the same. And he did say that their goal is to approach or have a 360 approach to treating cancer patients. And whereas many families have had to do harambes and, crowdsourcing for funds to have their loved ones sent abroad for better care, they will be increasingly able to provide that care here in Kenya, not to have to fly out patients or loved ones. And as you may have experienced, it is best when people have their loved ones next to them, even as they undergo the treatment. But it won't just be about cancer treatment. It'll also be about the general treatment for whatever other concerns or treatment that might be needed, whether it's traumatic experiences, whether accidents, patients who come here and have had accidents and need urgent surgery, they have the capacity to do that. And it was opened in October officially, but the operations haven't been at full potential. This center has worked as a quarantine facility for many COVID-19 patients since the outbreak of the pandemic in Kenya. And even coming into this hospital, we did see some of the patients, but that is the isolation ward of this facility is in one wing of it, and they would not be interacting with the rest of the patients who come in for treatment, as assured by the administration here. We spoke to the Chief Operations Officer, who did give us the assurance that they are following every protocol in terms of ensuring that their own staff who work here, whether it's medical staff or support staff, safe themselves in and of their services as healthcare workers. But the patients as well who would be coming to this institution can expect the best care and make sure that the protocol for COVID-19 and the measures therein are taken into consideration. And they even have the capacity to test patients in case there would be any symptoms that would manifest and there would be a need for that particular concern to be put on the side. So they do assure that they'll be ready to go, all system go here at the Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Institute, or hospital, I should say. Institute has its own connotations. But yes, the Minister of Health, Mutahi Kagwe, is also going to be in this part of this function and will be giving his address and possibly the status update on the COVID-19 situation. And in the last few days, there has been a number of, the declining number of confirmed cases that has been witnessed, many asking whether this is a good sign. But as well, the Ministry of Health has told people to still be vigilant and not lower their guard in terms of holding or upholding the COVID-19 measures that have protected the country thus far. But an expectation of COVID-19 infections being more prominent or expected to spread further in the county level and not just in the urban centers as has been witnessed. But the administration here is very clear that they are not a COVID-19 treatment center or in terms of taking care of patients who have COVID-19, much as they have been utilized for that purpose, but they are able to provide general support and care for patients who would need the same, and they're ready to work with people from around the country, from around the region. Just worth mentioning that this is the third level 6 referral hospital within the country, and that will definitely, being the level of their equipment as a level 6 hospital, would mean that better healthcare would be given to many more Kenyans. So a lot to expect here. We'll hear the president definitely will have a lot to say in terms of his own pillar of healthcare provision, universal healthcare provision, and the goal to reach that end. And this is in line with that. No guessing why the president is here to reassure that the government is doing its part, and definitely it will be a thing to see whether it will live up to the expectations. It is impressive from what we see, but it will be something else in terms of the healthcare that is given to Kenyans once they come here for treatment. But the assurance has been given that if you do need the treatment, rest assured that every measure has been taken care of and you will not be exposed in any way, and the doors are open for business. So we'll be getting to a bit more of the program and in terms of what to expect from this end. But we should be looking at the other developments of the day, given what has been happening around the country. Just looking for signal here from my director on whether we still have a good vantage point of what is happening on the other end, since we're just tucked in one corner, not quite the vantage point we had wanted to be at the main entrance of this facility. The quite illustrious way of presentation that has been made here, and we were to have a better vantage point for you, but Eric Isinta, I'm sure, is making sure you have a good view of what to expect. It's quite expansive and we can't quite capture that in one shot, but yes, in a bit we'll be getting to the stories of the day.
Supporting the hospital management information system. To my right, we'll start what we call the computer on wheels. This is a laptop that is mounted on a crash cart that is usually used by the nurses when they are attending to the patients within the wards. Now, in our hospital, we have fitted our wards with Wi-Fi connections. That is wireless connection, so that the nurse, at any time they are moving to the patients, they can always attend to the patient at any level of the ward. So once the nurse is able to log in, they're able to see the ward that they are in, the patient, and they can easily transact on the patient on the patient at any time of the hospital. Now this is a wireless connection, so means by the time any time that she's moving around with her crash cart, she can always move to any section of the hospital or the ward that she's assigned to. Moving on, Your Excellency, we have what we call mobile devices that we have assigned our doctors. Now, with the case, especially now with the COVID issues, we have the home-based care. Now, the doctor is able to move to the community and see the patients from the community, and all the patients that he has been assigned will be mapped to this tablet. Again, accessing this remotely at any time or any location.
Wherever he is.
Wherever he is.
Or she.
Or she, yes. Moving on, as part of engineering the technology and embracing technology that we have, previously when you walked into a lab, there was an issue of the doctor having to always write something on the specimen.
Yes.
So now we have adapted a technology that we can just always print the specimen sample by barcode in a barcode. Now this barcode, once it's patched on the specimen, this specimen, once it's put into the laboratory machine, the equipment is able to read that and generate that ID and everything about the patient and everything about that sample that is to be tested for that patient, eventually transmitting to the doctor.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes, so now briefly, if I may draw your attention to the screen, this is the capturing of the demographic of the patient. So you're able to capture a number of things from the name, the age, where they have come from. We have been able even to map up to the ward level of the whole of the country. So at any time, if you ask the patient where do you come from, by typing, automatically the system is able to generate all the other demographics of county, and the country. The occupation, so at the time of research, you can also understand where patients are coming from. Once this information is able to be maintained to the system, thereafter the patient is now ready to see the doctor. And now that I'll now ask my colleague, Dr. Rachel, to briefly take you through the clinical module that we have been able to implement into the hospital.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Rachel Warigia, a medical officer in the oncology department. So I'll take you through what happens after I've seen a patient. A patient is brought into my unit and I'm able to assess them. So first I'll start with reviewing the patient's vitals, that is the blood pressure, the pulse, the temperature which has been taken by the nurse in triage. And then after that I'm able to now start reviewing the patient, asking them what brought them to hospital, that is the chief complaint, and going forward, because I want to know really what brought them into the hospital and how they have been doing. I'll be able to put all these things in the history of presenting symptoms. I'll be able to ask the patient if they're allergic to any medicine or food as I put them here, and also put the diagnosis. Going forward, I'll be able to examine the patient, that is head to toe, in their respiratory system, in the gastrointestinal system, as I put all the information in the system. And also, most of the times, you get patients who will eventually land into the lab. So I will be able to send them for the investigations, any investigation that I want. I can just click here and select the specimen and be able to see if it's a complete blood count, just as he was explaining. Yes, the samples are taken and they are coded. And also, if after reviewing the patient will eventually need medications. So instead of sending them to the lab with a paper, a prescription pad, I'll be able to just send the details so that the pharmacist will be able to see it and do that in the system.
And immediately, and then dispense.
Yeah, and the pharmacist will dispense. And then if it's a procedure that you want to do, we can also do it. So the patient just has to walk to the room where he's required and get the procedure done. If I've sent a patient for an X-ray or a CT scan, the radiologist will be able to see the request, does the request for the patient and puts the information, the results in the system. And then on my side, I'll be able to view all that.
You can view everything.
Yeah, everything. And then assuming the patient will come for a second visit, there's this option that is the EHR. I can be able to view what was done in the previous visit for the patient. That is from the history, from the lab results that were put on, and also the imaging. If I've seen the patient, because most of our oncology patients, we will be able to refer them to maybe the surgeons. I'll just put a referral. And then the surgeon in his desk will be able to view all that. And
also the whole history of that patient.
The whole history and the reason as to why I've referred the patient.
So no more moving with your file,
no, we are no more moving with the file, and I would say it has come in handy at the right time when we'll be able to come along with the COVID guidelines. So instead of us moving with the file from one patient to the next, we just transfer everything here. And also being a teaching and referral hospital, it's good to mention that this system will be effective because of research. Because once, for example, I want to do a research on something, a specific illness, let's say cancer of the cervix, I'll be able to get the data from the system.
From the system.
Yeah. So it is quite effective for the whole hospital. Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
You understand, say, this is a hospital, and I think
yes.
This is the main hospital, and the kitchen hospital. But now we are going to the hospital. Hopefully we can.
You understand why you're working with the friend?
That's the one.
Yes.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah. So yesterday we have all these centers, this is what you're going to see today. The clinic, the restaurant, the facials, all the hospital is right there. So, and then this is the hospital. This one you saw?
Yes, exactly.
It will be like this. You get another view of it. And there's a very big staff. We have been able to do about 6,000 patients since we started. And about 5,000
cancer patients.
Yes. And then the last one there is oncology.
COVID.
About 2,000.
Coming down.
And these are the patients
That's when it became a COVID unit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's actually up here because September is the beginning.
Yes.
It's kind of here.
It's coming back now.
Yes, it's coming back.
Yeah. People avoided when it was a
Nyingi ambao ina manufaa mengi sana, hususan manufaa unatumika kama dawa asili.
My phone is on. No one is.
Yeah. Habari. Asante. Huyu ni mtu ya home. Habari yako? Daktari, habari?
Songa.
How are you, mama?
Anakuja hapa. Songa buda.
Habari yako? Mambo? Vipi baba? Safi? Vipi le? Mambo namna gani? Kabisa? Well done. Well done. Asante. Mudega?
Yes.
The right one?
Yes.
Haya. Hongera. Asante. Okay.
Tutasita kidogo kuangalia kwenye picha ya board.
Tuko nyuma.
Niombe na kamera kapenda
Mimi kama mambo mengi. Rudi.
Tunamuomba Mheshimiwa Rais kukubali Mheshimiwa Rais anapigwa picha kwa sasa na board ya hospitali hii.
Rudi nyuma akikuja. Sawa. Sasa anakuja mnarudi tu pole pole. Lakini hatutaingia huko.
Sawa. Sasa tukuona tuingie nataka tu akikata. Akikata tu. Kidogo pande sana. Kata tu hiyo. Msitoke na kuingia moja. Msingie mbele, msingie mbele.
Sanctify, O Lord, those to whom you have called to the study and practice of the art of healing and to the prevention of diseases, pain, and pandemics. Strengthen them by your life-giving spirit, that by their work, the health of the nation of Kenya may be promoted and their creation greater. We bless and dedicate this Kenyatta University Health Teaching and Referral and Research Hospital for the service of humanity and the healing of the people of Kenya. In the name of God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit.
Mheshimiwa Rais, karibu. Tuongeze kwa makofi Mheshimiwa Rais sasa atafungua maandishi ili ya kumbukumbu ya hospitali hii. Wale wengine watakaokuwa wamekabiliana sasa ili tuweze kujadili. Tunaomba Mheshimiwa Rais nafasi ya kuelekeza katika safari hii. Karibu Mheshimiwa Rais.
Mheshimiwa Rais ataelekezwa kwenye safari fupi, ukipenda a guided brief tour. Kisha katika safari hiyo fupi, Mheshimiwa Rais atakuwa akielekezwa katika idara mbalimbali katika hospitali yetu, na hapo baadaye Mheshimiwa Rais atawekelea jiwe la msingi katika the Integrated Molecular Image Center, ukipenda IMIC, na vilevile atawekelea jiwe la msingi katika IMIC Hospitality Center. Tuwe watulivu hadi ajiunge nasi. Karibuni.
So the president at the Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital, and this is where, of course, most of the treatment would happen. This is where we were earlier, and it has the theater. They'll have 6 such theaters here where they would have the main procedures and operations in this building that's right next to us, where he is having a short tour. And later on, he will be going to commission or lay the foundation stone for the imaging center, part of the cancer treatment services that they will be giving here at the Kenyatta University Hospital. And later on, of course, give an address on the holistic picture of what this is going to mean in terms of being a game changer in treatment for Kenyans within this county, within this country, and even in the region, being quite integral as the level 6, a third level 6 hospital here, referral hospital in Kenya. And we'll be getting back to the activities. He's accompanied by the Health Minister Mutahi Kagwe, and perhaps he'll also be giving the update on the COVID-19 treatment and situation. This being one of the centers that has had COVID-19 patients and still has. It's still being utilized as that. There's an isolation ward within this entire building that the president has just officially commissioned. We'll be getting back to that and more in a bit. Stay with us.
This is NTV.
Sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
And people ask me, why do you risk death? For me, this is life. I'm going to hang a high wire between the 2 towers of the World Trade Center and walk on it. Good luck. I was always searching, looking for the perfect place to hang my wire.
Whoa.
I'll figure out how to get the wire across.
The man is obviously crazy. Are we just here to watch him die?
One mistake out there, and you're going to die.
Vina vegetable oil stays liquid to the last drop, so it's smooth cooking from start to finish. Now with an easy-to-pour cap. Mapishi poa, madishi poa.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola, taste the simple joys.
Oh my, oh my, oh my days. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Never understood. Never understood. Life can be this good.
Breastfeed your baby exclusively for the first 6 months of life. It helps them grow healthy and strong and protects them from infections and illnesses. Mothers with suspected or confirmed COVID-19 should be encouraged to initiate or continue to breastfeed while adhering to COVID-19 infection prevention and control measures to avert contact transmission of the virus to their infants and young children. Breast milk remains the best food and improves the baby's immunity. Breastfeeding is a foundation for a child's future health. Mothers who breastfeed reduce their risk of developing breast and ovarian cancers.
Guys, unajua ukikula supu moja utakuwa na superpowers?
Let me try. Jiamini.
Wow. Indomie, now available in chicken, beef, and Supermojo. Jiamini.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola, taste the simple joys.
New Blue Band Mayonnaise. Made from natural ingredients with omega-3 and 6 to enjoy long-lasting freshness and natural taste unlike any other mayo. Grow healthy and happy kids with New Blue Band Mayonnaise.
We really wanted to see something exciting in the restaurant scene that reflected Africa.
So the idea is to broaden the target audience because I want to spread the positive Kenyan vibes to everyone.
Our hip-hop mainly, it's hip-hop for the people, no?
Right.
Like we do it for the people, we do it to communicate with the people.
Did you know there's a laundry bar soap that can help save you time, water, and money? You save by not having to use multiple products. And you only rinse once. For a laundry soap that can help save you time, water, and money, try Whitewash Extra. Brand power, helping you buy better.
In traditional societies, women's direct access to land through purchase or inheritance is usually restricted despite the fact that they may have greater management rights than their male counterparts. In Kenya too, women's right to inherit and manage property has been under attack from cultural practices that only grant a woman secondary rights to land and property through her male relatives. Why did the judiciary see it fit to have an alternative justice systems policy to operationalize alternative dispute resolution mechanisms? What do the current marriage laws mean for the recognition of parties to the marriage and their rights before, during, and after marriage? This Thursday, the Nation Media Group will hold a live virtual Nation Leadership Forum from 7:30 p.m. on NTV. With the help of a panel of experts, it shall delve into the gender and land rights issue in Kenya, the role of chiefs or national administration in access to inheritance rights, and analyze the impact of the pandemic on access to justice for property rights. Nation Leadership Forum. Engaging society, impacting the nation.
We are Nation, Africa's independent media brand. We are committed to empowering all Africans, from the young to the old, from the curious to the educated, and from the heart of the cities to the rural areas. We are Nation. Join us, because if you want to get far, you do it together. Nation. Empower Africa.
Welcome back to the broadcast, and as we take on the happenings of the day, just to give you a recap of what's happening here at the Kenyatta University Hospital, where the President has officially commissioned this hospital, and it is the third level 6 hospital in the country, and one of the flagship cares and services that he'll be giving is the cancer treatment under one roof, and we'll be getting more when the President gives an address alongside the Minister for Health, that is Mutahi Kagwe. But other things that are happening and developing during the day. Earlier, a section of Boda Boda riders in Kisii held demonstrations that turned violent. They say that powerful people are against the much-anticipated visit by Deputy President William Ruto in the area. Police had to respond to quell the situation, with some of the demonstrators being arrested in the chaos.
They carried what looked like clubs, as though sending a message to someone that they mean business. Their grievance being the unwelcoming air directed at Deputy President William Ruto. They say that youth have been raised to cause chaos during the DP's visit.
Tumesema leo hatutaki mchezo, tukiita kiongozi yetu atusaidie, wasituinterview.
Their message appeared to have been well received, as the response was swift and strong. Security officials made their way to the town to maintain peace and order. Still, they maintained their intention that they will receive their much-awaited guest.
Ruto ni kiongozi wa Kenya, ni naibu ya rais, anatuongoza sisi wote kama wa Kenya. Akuja Kisii, ajue Kisii ni kwake na tunampenda sana. Atupige siasa mdomo tu. Ule mtu anatuletea kitu na ule mtu mwenye anapiga tu mdomo, tunataka nani? Wapi mwingine?
Some were not lucky, as they were arrested, meaning they might miss out on the Deputy President's visit in the area. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
Meanwhile, ODM leader Raila Odinga has chided Deputy President William Ruto to account for the money he dishes out to churches or at churches on Sundays. Odinga says the war on graft can only be won if those in power and public offices are held to account for their wealth.
The former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is in Taita Taveta County, drumming support for the Building Bridges Initiative BBI. It is here that Odinga questioned the source of money that Deputy President William Ruto has been offering churches during his Sunday visits.
Sasa kila Jumapili mabeba Biblia wanaimba. Sasa anasema siji Luka sura hii angalia imesema hii na nini, siji Mathayo ngapi. amekuwa mhubiri kushinda wale waaskofu wenyewe. alafu anatoa hiyo milioni. Siku hiyo hakuna sadaka. Jumapili inafuata sadaka inakuja na milioni inaingia hapa, milioni 10, sio? Sasa hiyo pesa ametoa wapi?
The ODM leader who made stopovers at Bura, Muhange and Mwakishimba maintains that corruption is derailing the country's major people-centered development projects.
Watu wanakwenda kule kwa hazina, wanatoa pesa, wamepanda mbinu. Miradi inakuja, lakini badala ya pesa kutumia kwa hiyo mradi, inaingia kwa mfuko ya watu.
Meanwhile, a section of Western leaders have called for political tolerance and respect among politicians amidst different political positions on national issues.
If you are a leader, deal with the president. If there are issues, peleka bungeni kule. Tuna bunge mahali pa kuongele. Lakini mama ya mtu anatokea wapi kwa hii maneno? We have to respect the institution of presidency.
First step is to ask for forgiveness to my father Musalia Mudavadi. Kama nilikukosea kama kijana yako, na kuomba msamaha mbele ya kanisa, unisamee, unibariki, niweke vijana wa Luhya pamoja so that we move together as a community.
The country has in recent days witnessed high political temperatures as elected leaders prepare for the much anticipated referendum ahead of the 2022 general elections. Vincent Odur, NTV.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has warned the Council of Governors of legal consequences, including criminal prosecution, over move by the COG to stop or at least hint at stopping commercial engagements with Nation Media Group on account of the company's coverage of corruption issues in the counties. EACC has further warned that any accounting officer or any other public officer who will unlawfully stop commercial engagements with the Nation Media Group will be personally held liable. Setolale reports.
Through a letter from the Commission's Chief Executive Officer, Twalib Mbarak, to the Chairman of the Council of Governors, Wycliffe Oparana, the public watchdog says the resolution of the county chiefs violates Article 10 of the Constitution on national values and principles that binds all state organs, state officers and public officers. In addition, the COG defies Article 227(1) of the Constitution, which requires procurement of goods and services by public entities, including county governments, to be conducted in accordance with a system that is fair, equitable, transparent, competitive and cost-effective. The Commission further states that the Council of Governors violates Section 3 of Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015, which requires state organs to be guided by values and principles of the Constitution, including equity and freedom from discrimination. The COG will be held liable for violating Section 21 of the Competition Act 2010, which prohibits restrictive trade practices. In this regard, EACC has warned that any accounting officer or any other public officer who will unlawfully stop commercial engagements with Nation Media Group will be personally held liable. On Wednesday, Media Council of Kenya, Media Owners Association, and other stakeholders in the media industry condemned the move by the Council of Governors, demanding COG to withdraw the statement. Seth Olale, NTV.
To politics, and the Third Way Alliance Party's National Executive Committee has confirmed the expulsion from the party of the leader Ekuru Aukot. The party's NEC has accused Aukot of gross misconduct. The party says that Aukot refused to use the party's internal mechanisms to resolve matters that were leveled against him.
Hatuwezi kukaa tukimtazama akivuruga kila mtu kila pale, akitusi watu chokora. Ndio maana leo tumemtimua kutoka kwa chama kama kiongozi wa chama na pia kama mwenye chama. Daktari Angela Mwikali atatuongoza katika safari hii kuhakikisha kwamba chama kiko imara.
Residents from different informal settlements within Nairobi have decried eviction threats issued to them by city authorities. They say that the government has already destabilized the lives of many city dwellers who lost their homes earlier in the year after demolitions that they say were unlawful.
When COVID-19 hit Kenya, The message was sanitize, wear your masks, and where possible, stay at home. However, as that was happening, some unfortunate residents of the city of Nairobi were losing their homes on account of evictions.
Tumeumia rais wetu. Ningemuomba tu asikie kilio yetu na pahali tutapeleka watoto na tumekuwa wasee na tuna pahali ya kwenda.
Exposed to the elements and afraid of the invisible enemy that is coronavirus, some found alternative housing while others remain homeless 6 months on.
Ningeomba serikali kwa maana wajukuu wako na nilibomolewa hata sina pahali ya kukaa. Hata saa hii siwezi kujipeleka, miguu iwezi enda, nimegojekea huko.
Threats of evictions continue to be issued to other residents.
The element of public participation has been ignored, and what is happening is that forced evictions are on the increase. We have no compensation. Nobody cares about alternative resettlements for these particular communities.
I've been here for a while, I have said, but I don't remember anything to do with that public participation.
The people who are supposed to enjoy the services cannot be forcefully evicted, and yet it's assumed that that service is meant for you.
These communities from Mukuru kwa Ruben, Kaloleni, Kibra and many others have urged the Nairobi Metropolitan Services to stop the demolitions. They appealed to the government to put the cold, rainy weather into consideration before throwing them out in the cold. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha now says that institutions of higher learning are safe and ready for reopening whenever the president decides to do so. Magoha, who is at the coast inspecting universities, reiterated the need to install proper infrastructure such as hand-washing points. Kevin Mutai also reports that the Education CS says that the government has developed prototype furniture that will be used in schools.
Education CS Professor George Magoha began his coastal tour Wednesday, inspecting public universities and checking on the implementation of safety guidelines on COVID-19 ahead of their reopening. Magoha reiterated that institutions of higher learning are ready, but highlighted areas of concern that need to be looked at so as to combat the spread of the disease. The CS said that the positivity rate of the virus is low, but need close monitoring for the next 2 weeks.
Basically, we have come to confirm that the universities will be safe should the government decide to reopen the universities in the near future. There are certain things that were to be done, like increasing the water points, ensuring that social distancing, which is a very big problem, is maintained within universities, especially in dining halls, classrooms, and sleeping areas.
Magoha, however, criticized the media for misquoting him on the reopening of secondary and primary schools, maintaining that his position and that of government has been the same over time.
The position has not changed. We said when we closed down the schools after a period that the opening of the schools will be in January 2021. So that statement is still there. But depending on how the virus behaves and on the ability of the schools to comply with certain things, then we shall relook. And what has the media done? They have made me to look like somebody who didn't go to school, who flip-flops. Today I say this, today I say this, today I say this. I want to tell you that I'm above that kind of nonsense.
The ministry says the government has set aside 1.9 billion shillings to procure new desks that will comply with the COVID-19 protocols. The prototype desks will change sitting arrangement in classrooms so as to maintain social distancing, according to the ministry. The desks will be locally assembled by artisans in every sub-county and must be ready ahead of January 2021 reopening of schools.
The samples for Mombasa will be brought back by the county commissioner. His own for primary and secondary, and for every sub-county. So as we ask the Juakali sector to come and see and decide whether they have a workshop, they will also then register the workshops if they are satisfied that this is a Juakali workshop, but this is something they can do, so the quality control is maintained. At the end of it, we shall have made 250,000 desks.
The CS is expected in Taita Taveta County today. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
The government is doing so much.
Family Bank has set aside 1 billion shillings to facilitate industrial production of fodder by financing the fodder production activities. The bank has entered into a partnership with Performita Agribusiness Limited in a deal that will see 100,000 farmers in dairy cooperatives access credit to finance fodder production, a critical barrier to the competitiveness of Kenya's dairy sector. Dairy farming remains a priority income-generating enterprise in more than 15 of 47 of the counties in Kenya due to its potential to transform the economic well-being of households involved in it. However, the earning potential from the dairy farming activities is greatly hindered by the seasonality of fodder and forage availability and the low nutritional quality of fodder fed to the cows.
The issue of fodder is not new. People who are doing extension work in the Ministry of Agriculture or NGOs, they have been telling farmers, this cow has good breeds, but does not feed enough. This cow feeds enough, but is eating the wrong thing. Eating bananas and eating, you've seen people giving pseudo stems for bananas, pruning trees and giving the leaves to the cows because they have to see the next season. A lot of drama around feeding.
The earning potential of the dairy farming activities is greatly hampered by the seasonality of fodder and forage availability, and also the low nutritional quality of the fodder fed to the cows. This means that cows do not get enough feed for most of the year, and the feed available does not have the required nutrition to support optimal milk production per cow. This has slowed down the growth of the dairy sector.
Earlier, we saw the CS for Education, Professor Magoha, say that he feels the higher institutions of learning are ready to resume classes, physical classes, that is. Well, at least 60 to 70% of technical, industrial, vocational, and entrepreneurship training institutions, otherwise known as TVETs, across the country are ready for reopening. According to the TVET director, Kipkirui Langat, within the last 3 months, over 90 institutions have been working on the stipulated containment measures in readiness for reopening in January. Speaking at Thika Technical Training Institute in Kiambu County, Langat said that a number of institutions were still unprepared and urged them to hasten the process to ensure they are not left behind.
We identified a few areas that were still lacking, and we instructed the principal and the management to address that. And I was just coming to check on that progress. And so far, so good. I think a lot of grounds have been covered.
The next 1 week or thereabout, we should be able to reprogram ourselves, return-table, the way we run our classes, so that we can accommodate the entire students' population.
Residents of Chalamoko area of arid parts of Nguni Ward, Kitui County, are pleading with the county government to come to their rescue as they are forced to walk for over 20 kilometers in search of water in River Enzio after their only source, a solar-powered borehole, broke down.
Water is life. Residents of Nguni Ward, Mwingi Sub-County, Kitui County have been trekking several hours on daily basis in search of the precious commodity. A solar-powered borehole drilled by an NGO has been their only source of water to the residents, broke down more than 2 months ago.
Tulipeana ripoti kwa maofisi yote ya county na tukaambiwa tuongojee kwa muda wa wiki moja. Kutoka hapo kila wiki tunauliza kwa nini naendelea. Tunaambiwa niongojeni kidogo, mambo yenyu itaangaliwa. Na sasa sisi tumechoka kabisa.
Locals say that water pump in the borehole needs to be repaired and that the long journey they make in search of water puts them at risk of hyena attacks.
Wasichana wetu wengi wako na miba, hatujui wenyewe ni kina nani, manake
tegwa nyara huko wakienda kwa mto na ni lazima waende kuchota maji.
Hapa tunauziwa maji poti, mtungi na tuko na shida sana.
The locals are now urging Governor Charity Ngilu to move with speed to fix the borehole in order to address the water challenges during COVID-19 pandemic. Judith Cherono, NTV.
Residents living in the Masai Mara area have asked the government to involve them in the working of the Masai Community Management Plan that seeks to control investors at the famous game reserve. This is after a viral video on social media showed employees from a private camp chasing away wildebeest that were trying to cross the Mara River. The camp was built along the Mara River and is said to have blocked the migratory corridor of the animals. The community is urging the government not to take advantage of the situation and impose the management plan on the community that has been opposing the move. They maintain that the community will not allow the transfer of management of the Masai Mara Game Reserve to private entities.
You know, I tell you, they should never allow this camp here on the...
Tunataka kuonya kwamba county government ama national government kupitia Ministry of Tourism wasijaribu kutumia hiyo incident kulete mambo ambaye itakuja undermine rights za Wamasai hapa katika sehemu hii ya Mara. Wa solve hiyo problem na tutaunga mkono hiyo mambo ya movement ya wildlife. Hata kama kuna kambi zitafunjwa kwa sababu ya hiyo, hatuna shida na hiyo. We accept any solutions, whether jointly or individually crafted by the county government in partnership with the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, even in partnership with the community. But we shall not accept the imposition of this so-called management plan without community participation.
Now to the international scene, the halting of clinical trials for one of the most advanced experimental COVID-19 vaccines shows that the importance, I should say, of safety in developing new medicines despite overwhelming international pressure, experts have said. Now, pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca and the University of Oxford said on Tuesday that they were pausing trials of the vaccine after a volunteer developed an unexplained illness. AstraZeneca said in a follow-up statement that a participant in Britain had been taken ill during large-scale phase 3 testing. It called the move to pause the trial a routine action, but the setback briefly spooked markets as a world races for a vaccine that could signal the beginning of the end of the pandemic. The Democratic Health Senate Committee grilled U.S. health officials on the status of vaccine development in the U.S. and what the AstraZeneca move means for the U.S. market.
There will be no shortcuts. This vaccine will be safe, it will be effective, or it won't get moved along. And when a vaccine is either approved or authorized by the FDA, I and my family will be in line to get it.
Will it be done by a certain date? I could not possibly tell you right now because I don't know what's going to happen in the coming months. I do have cautious optimism that by the end of 2020, at least one of these vaccines will have emerged and turned out to be safe and effective, but even that is a guess.
The Irish Prime Minister says plans by the British government to alter aspects of the withdrawal agreement for Northern Ireland in violation of international law have eroded trust at a key juncture in Brexit trade talks. Martin says Dublin did not receive a heads up from London over the plans to alter the protocol designed to prevent the emergence of a hard border between the Republic and the British province of Northern Ireland. Britain is on course for a messy divorce with the EU at the end of the year.
That meaningful negotiations can only proceed on the basis of mutual trust. Unilateral actions which seek to change the operation of measures already agreed, included in an international treaty, and incorporated into domestic law do not build trust. the unilateral nature of it, Senan, is what disturbs us. There was no heads up in relation to this initiative by the British government. And the timing of it, just as the latest strand of negotiations was commencing with the UK task force under Michel Barnier and the UK government side, again raises questions as to the motivation behind this initiative right now.
So I would caution anyone who is thinking about playing politics with Northern Ireland on Brexit again. Northern Ireland is too fragile and too important to be used as a pawn in the broader Brexit negotiations.
A bit of sports now. Serena Williams kept alive her hopes of a record-equaling 24th Grand Slam singles title with a 4-6, 6-3, 6-2 win over Svetlana Pironkova in the US Open quarterfinals. The six-time champion struggled early on with a variety of shots from the unranked player who was in her first tournament in 3 years. The Bulgarian broke in the fifth game en route to taking the first set. Pironkova tired as Williams took the second and broke twice in the third. The veteran will now play former world #1 Victoria Azarenka, whom she beat in the 2012 and 2013 US Open finals. Meanwhile, Dominic Thiem saw off Alex de Minaur in straight sets to advance to the semis. The world #3 will face Daniil Medvedev in the semis.
Still, I mean, Pironkova, that's a nice shot. Well done.
Coming from California, I have something called sensor. Okay. Okay. Greet all of them. Greet her.
And that's it for the sports and for the 1 o'clock bulletin, but not all from what you can expect at the Kenyatta University Hospital, as the president is still doing a tour of the new facility that he has commissioned and will be giving his remarks alongside the Minister for Health, Mutahi Kagwe, and that will be in a bit. As soon as that starts, we'll be bringing it to you live.
This is NTV.